Mount Sinai and the Tabernacle. The first half of Exodus deals with God rescuing ancient Israel from a life of slavery. That's the part we call the Exodus event. The second half, though, introduces the story of Moses receiving the Ten Commandments and the blueprint for the Tabernacle. And right at the point connecting these two halves comes this pivotal story. Having journeyed out into the wilderness, the Israelites arrive at the foot of Mount Sinai. Here, the presence of God descends in the midst of a fierce storm and thick clouds. Let's pause for a moment and talk about the concept of God's presence, because it's crucial for understanding the rest of this book. At the very beginning of Scripture, humanity dwelt within God's presence in the Garden of Eden. That kind of intimate relationship with God was a wonderful thing. But because of human rebellion, the relationship was broken, and humanity lost access to God's presence. Still, God promised Abraham that he would restore his blessing to all nations, and that promise includes restoring both the relationship and the way back into his presence. Now, here at Mount Sinai, the Israelites stand directly before the presence of God. It must have been terrifying, and it's at this moment that God invites them into a special, intimate relationship with himself. The word used to describe this relationship is covenant, essentially a binding agreement between God and Israel. What makes it unique is that up to this point, God hasn't asked anything of Israel, he's simply told them to trust him. But here at Sinai, he's finally going to ask something of them. In fact, quite a lot. God gives them a series of laws, including the Ten Commandments, and tells them that if they keep them, they will become a nation that represents him to the world, something like priests. God actually says they will become a kingdom of priests. And this ties directly back to his promise to Abraham that his descendants would be a blessing to all nations. That sounds wonderful, but the laws are numerous and the standard is extremely hard to live up to. Still, think about it, if any nation on earth could keep these laws, who would it be if not Israel? The very people who had witnessed God's grace and power firsthand? They agree to obey, but when it comes to actually entering God's presence, they refuse. They're still too afraid. So Moses alone climbs the mountain to meet with God. Yet God, longing to dwell among his people, says something remarkable. "If my people won't come up to meet me, I will come down this mountain to be with them." That's why he commands Moses to build an elaborate tabernacle, a place where his presence can dwell among his people. And that's why the blueprint for the tabernacle is laid out in painstaking detail across 7 chapters. It's a massive undertaking, but every single detail matters, and each one carries deep symbolic meaning. For instance, the interior of the tabernacle is filled with imagery echoing the Garden of Eden, a reminder that through the tabernacle, people once again dwell within God's presence. The following 6 chapters then repeat those same blueprints, this time describing how they were actually built. Let's pause here, though, because a critically important story unfolds before the tabernacle is even finished. Moses comes down the mountain carrying the 10 Commandments and the tabernacle plans, only to find Israel already breaking the first 2 commandments. "You shall have no other gods before me, and you shall not make for yourself an idol." That's exactly what's happening. The moment they agree to the covenant, they fashion an idol, build an altar, and dance and bow down before it. Seeing this, God tells Moses, "This cannot stand. I will wipe out this people and start over with you instead." But Moses pleads with God, asking him to remember his promise to Abraham and to forgive the people. Now, doesn't this exchange feel a little strange? God isn't someone who forgets, after all. True, it is unusual. But this conversation lets us glimpse the grief in God's heart over what Israel has done. God could have walked away from them entirely. Instead, he chose to remain faithful to his promise, fully aware of the cost that faithfulness would demand of him. Now we arrive at the end of Exodus. The tabernacle is completed, and the glory of God fills it. In the closing scene, Moses tries to enter the tabernacle, but he can't. He is physically unable to go in, and that's how Exodus ends. Why couldn't he enter? That's the real question here. Israel's worship of the golden calf was a direct insult to God's faithfulness. So how could Moses simply walk into the tabernacle as though nothing had happened? There's still a deep, unresolved problem in this relationship. Will Israel ever be able to restore their relationship with God and truly enter his presence? That question is exactly what the next book, Leviticus, sets out to answer.